Okay, one person brought up the fact that I said I might put the battery in the door a while back and mentioned that that might be a thing and I need to do something different. So let's consider this. Alternators in, 3 fuses to a doubler out. Doubler out to these 2 lugs right here. Okay? That's alternator getting to the battery. On the other side of these 2 lugs coming out, this is the positive side, going into there, through those 2 fuses to that doubler, going out into those 2 positive terminals, right in the middle. Off the side of that, coming out and going up to where the other 2 amplifiers would be with their splitters in place to split that power again. These 2 fuses are really not necessary. They're just not. But this fuse, this double fuse block, could act like a distribution block. And so there's that. And ultimately, it would look something like that. But with 2 amps and a DSP amp or something like that. The view you would get from the door would be kind of like this. You'd see the battery down here partially set into the wood. Power there, power out of there into there, power out of there into there, power out of there into there. Grounds running down both sides of this, back to the battery, to the grounds, and then power coming out here to all these amps. But ideally, or in the end, the battery would be sitting in the board about 2 inches, just about. The only part that would be exposed on the battery would be about where the terminals start at. From there out, the rest of it would be hidden underneath. The outside, this side of the battery would be exposed, and this half of the battery would be exposed. Something like that. Man, decisions. I can turn these 2 guys here either direction. So there's that. Guys, tell me what you think in the comments. I don't know. I could also do something different. I've got 2 more fuses I could use for my alternator, for the fuse that's doing. I've got 2 more fuses, and I could run this guy and this guy side by side with both doublers turned the same way, running 2 doublers here and getting, all the power in from the battery going through 4 fuses for absolutely no reason whatsoever except for appearance. Or in theory, I could remove these fuses entirely and run 2 hots in, 2 grounds in, and just no fusing. But I would like to incorporate the fuses on the panel for obvious reasons, that reason. So even though they may not even be necessary to do here, I'd like to use them in some kind of way. So we'll call this option B. Okay, call this option B. We'll call this, so you guys can explain easily or what you have in your brain, we'll call this option A. Okay, I described in the beginning. And then we will remove this fuse from the equation, just have the incoming fuse, maybe reposition it slightly, something like that, or I don't know, just whatever. Have the incoming fuse from the alternator to the positive. We'll call this Then of course positives out, negatives out like normal, or with splitters or without. The point is, we'll call this option C. Okay, this is C. So I got A, B, and C. Now I'm going to put those in the vote thing. You guys can vote on them. But I know you're going to have option A, but blah blah blah. Option B, but blah 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 blah. Okay. So what I want you to do is to vote the option that's closest to what you think we should do. This being option C, with no fuses in between the battery and the amplifier, which is totally logical because it's like a 1 foot run, and there's nothing really to fuse. It's just kind of redundant and unnecessary. But this is C. Both fuses in between the battery and the amplifier is B. One fuse here. Of course, there'll still be a fuse fusing the alternator wires because that's logical, but it'll be a different fuse. So, and then option A would be that fuse there, and then that fuse in between the amplifier and the battery. That's A. So you pick option A, B, or C, and then select the one in the thing, right? And down below, comment saying option B, but this, or option A with this. Give me an idea what your specific thing is, or if you just like what I'm going with, just put option A, B, or C. And I want you guys' opinions. So I want to throw them one more time. A is using these two fuse blocks to fuse the incoming power from the alternator, which fuses that long run, which is logical. B uses these two guys to fuse between these two, and another fuse to fuse between the alternator and the battery. So you won't be seeing it. It'll be kind of hidden. And then C being using one of these guys to fuse between the alternator and the battery, and then no fuses between the battery and the amplifier. Alright guys, that's what I got for you. I'm just I can't sleep thinking about this, so I figured I'd shoot this up and let you guys vote on it and see what you had to say.